hello, and welcome to our first Bookmarked Book of the Month live show. Our first book of the month is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And Hannah, would you like to start us off by telling what it's about?
I would love to. So Daisy Jones and the Six is a oral history of this fictional band called Daisy Jones and the Six and how they got together and ultimately why they broke up. And it's told in the format of an oral history. So it's basically an interview. The entire thing is essentially all dialogue with a couple of articles here and there. But that's essentially, I think, the most I can say about it without spoiling anything. But you get the perspectives of each of the characters and all of their input on why or how things happened and why things ended the way that they did. And yeah, it's wonderful. I'm so ready to cry today.
So speaking of that, what were our ratings for the book? I'm sure everyone will be very surprised. Hannah, what'd you give it?
I gave it 5, but I would give it 1,000 stars.
It's her new favorite book of all time.
It literally, honestly, I think it's my new favorite book of all time. No joke.
So that's high praise. What about you, Hailey?
I also gave it a 5 out of 5 stars.
And I did as well. Yay!
Yay.
Except midway through, I was leaning towards a 4 out of 5, and then the ending just wrapped it up so nicely. I don't want to spoil anything. We will get to the spoilers later on in the video, but if you're midway through and you're finish the book, finish it, and then reread it after you finish it. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes.
Okay, so there are 2 ways to read this book. There is the physical book format and there is the audiobook format. What do we think about the different formats of the book? Which one would you recommend reading for your first time?
I 100% every single time will say the audiobook. For me personally, I don't think if I had physically read it, I would have enjoyed the story nearly as much because the audiobook has a full cast narration and it was cast by Taylor Jenkins Reid herself, and everyone is just so perfect. They all do such an amazing job of bringing the characters to life, and it's so good. I re-listened to it this morning, and I don't generally reread things either, but the audiobook just completely immerses you in the story and it makes it feel like it's real and you're actually listening to this podcast about this old band and hearing their story.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. I honestly don't think I have any interest in physically reading it just because I will listen to the audiobook all the time.
I've listened to it twice and I'm halfway through reading the physical book right now. And I also recommend the audiobook because I think it's genuinely the best audiobook I've ever listened to in terms of the way that it's put together, because it's just so well done. Because it's just so well acted. Because
they're all actors, yeah.
They're all actors. A lot of them are actually pretty famous people. And it's just really, really well acted. But I also think that there are a lot of benefits to reading the book physically as well, because as I'm reading it now, there are things that I'm noticing in it that you don't get to notice in the audiobook because you have to be able to actually look at the text to catch these things. And it's giving another layer of depth to it. So I recommend doing both because I think you should read this. I definitely think you should read this book more than once. I think it's the type of book that needs to be read twice, because once you read it the first time, reading it the second time changes everything. So yeah, I recommend both, but definitely recommend the audiobook if you can listen to it.
Mm-hmm. When I read it the first time, I read it physically, and even my first time going through it, I was highlighting so many of my new favorite quotes. Well, right now, here, some quotes right here. And I chose blue because it's the color of Daisy Jones' eyes. But that's why I personally am more of a fan of physically reading a book than audiobooks because it holds my attention more. So I liked reading it as I was able to pick up on all of my favorite quotes. It's such a quotable book, especially from Daisy herself. Some zingers right there. But I think personally, if I were to reread this for the first time again, if I was able to go back, I would listen to it as an audiobook and then I would read it physically, because I think it's so much more organic to listen to it as it's an interview style. It's just the way it's supposed to be. Kind of like Sadie by Courtney Summers. That's one that you really need to listen to, as that's the way it's intended. Like, it's a podcast in Sadie, and here it's an interview oral history type thing. So that's the way it's supposed to be. So yeah, listen to the audiobook if you can. If not, it's still just like, I read it physically the first time and I cried and I loved it. So if you can't get your hands on the audiobook, don't worry, it's still fantastic.
Yeah. I think if you're having trouble with the format, because I think that's been the biggest thing that I've seen with people, is if they don't like it, they struggle with the format of it because it's so unusual. And I totally get that. I would say try the audiobook if you have access to it. Libraries and stuff, you can get audiobooks there usually. And if you're not used to audiobooks, you can always follow along with the text as you're listening to the audiobook. So you don't have to just listen to the audiobook, but it really is a story that lends itself so perfectly to audio.
Yeah. I think of it as like a play. Like,
Yes.
you can read a play, and I've read a lot of plays because I used to do theater, so I used to just read scripts all the time. But it's different when you're watching a play, because that's the way that it's intended to be presented. So it's kind of like that. Like, there are benefits to doing both, and either way, you're still going to get a lot out of it, especially if it's a good story. But yeah, either way, I think it's a fantastic experience.
Another criticism I heard about the interview format is that people were saying that they felt detached from it, as all of these characters aren't talking to one another. They're just talking to the interviewer, and they're talking from their point of view. Also, fun fact is that in the beginning, it says that the truth often lies unclaimed in the middle. So everybody has a different perspective on the events. They all disagree with some minute details, like how they got the name of the band. Like, they disagree how that story went. And then there's some bigger aspects that people disagree on. So I think that's a lot of fun. But I think listening to the audiobook, it adds so much more emotion to it than just like a cut and dry interview.
Yeah.
So again, audiobook. Okay, so our next non-spoiler question before we get into the spoilers. Who was your favorite character? This is a really weighted question.
Yeah, I don't have a favorite because I loved almost everybody so much. Like, the only people I don't actually like are Eddie and Graham.
What? You don't like Eddie?
I know, shocking.
No, I like him. I mean,
see, the thing is, I like them as characters, and I completely appreciate them as characters. But I'm talking about like, oh, like, do I want you to be my friend, or do I want to have a conversation with you? Like, do I like you? I don't like them. But my favorites, though, I have to say, are Daisy, Billy, and Camilla. Is it Camilla or Camila?
Camilla, yeah.
I love the three of them so much, like with all of my heart and soul.
What about you, Hailey?
I agree. Daisy and Camilla particularly are my favorites. Everything about them was just so great. Like, what amazes me about the fact that this isn't an interview format is she was still able to build up the characters so much and make them so realistic and incredibly layered. So I also like loved basically every single one of the characters, but Daisy and Camilla were my favorite. Basically all of the women in it, I was like, yes.
I think that Daisy and Camilla, they were kind of larger than life. Like,
yeah,
I'm not sure, like, they could have been real people, and I'm sure like there are people like that, but Karen felt like a very understated and like organic character. Like, she felt like somebody who could have been real, because she was just like trying her best to live her life and just like staying out of conflict, really. And so I really liked Karen, but I think Camilla and Daisy, they were just like iconic. Like, Evelyn, Hugo, just like, wow, they really did the thing. I also loved Simone and Warren.
I was gonna say
Warren was just like,
Warren
was there, and I loved him so much.
I was gonna say Simone, like, I feel like she's so underappreciated, and like, we'll talk about it more when we talk about spoilers, I'm sure, but like, I loved her so much, and honestly, the greatest friend of all time. Like, let's be honest, she really is.
Yeah.
Also, people are talking about this too. With Daisy, I really loved the fact that this kind of like Evelyn Hugo as well. We have older characters looking back on their life and kind of reflecting on their choices, and that's what made me like Daisy even more, is because she had been through like things since the events in this book. No spoilers, but she's a much more developed person now. She's moved on from things and things that I'm not going to spoil, but it made me enjoy her so much more. And then other people, some of them, I dislike them more when I hear from their later versions because they didn't get any better with time. Okay. Someone said, Tabby said, is this book suitable for a 13-year-old? There's a lot of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I think it's equal thirds sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah.
So maybe ask your parents. Maybe have your parent read it first, or your parent or guardian, somebody older than you, read it first, and then have them decide.
Yeah.
Because I don't
like,
want to you.
I feel like the most explicit part is the drugs.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yes.
So I think that would be the major thing. Obviously, everyone's different, but I feel like for 13, no. But I think your advice is good. Like, have a parent or guardian read it first, because then you'll know. But it's kind of explicit in terms of drugs.
It's a lot of substance abuse.
Yes.
It's every single page, basically.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about the upcoming adaptation from Reese Witherspoon, my favorite. She's really doing such great work. I'm so happy for her on this planet because she's given me what I want. What is the best way you think they could adapt this?
It's going to be a mini series, right? That's what they've said.
Yeah.
I think that it should be done in the format of an interview. Like it should seem like, I don't think they should just do it as like, here's like the actual story of what happened. I think the interview should be intertwined into it with obviously flashback scenes so we can watch what's happening. And I think it would be really cool if they would overlay certain flashback scenes where they have someone say something and they have someone say something else. So you get like what thinks happened, what Billy thinks happened, what Eddie thinks happened. So like I think that would be really, really cool if they did it. And I think that they just need to keep the interview as part of it, because if they don't, the story loses so much of its meaning.
It unravels so quickly.
Completely. So that's what I think they should do.
What about you, Hailey?
I agree. I mean, I haven't really thought that much about how I would want it to like translate, just because I like to be surprised and see how it would be. But I think it would be cool if, since so many of the voice actors in the audiobook are actors, like to see them like actually portray their characters. I don't know. I feel like the cast is the most absolutely important part. The cast will make or break it.
We were talking about this earlier, but we want Daisy Jones to be like an unknown person.
Yeah. I want most of the cast to be completely unknown.
Yeah. Maybe like Simone, or like the producer, or like the kind of more minor characters be celebrities to catch people in, but like Daisy and Billy, I want them to be unknown, and I want them to obviously sing their own songs, because what's the point of casting someone unknown if you have to cast?
That is what I'm most excited for, the actual music.
Get it?
That's what I care about. Oh, I'm gonna die.
Honestly, we won't. You're not going to survive.
Yeah, no.
Really won't. I will not.
You will not.
We'll finally get the soundtrack that we've been craving. But I am comparing this to another Reese Witherspoon work, Big Little Lies, which is on HBO, and that also has interviews of a sense. There's like police interviews interspersed throughout it because it's a murder mystery. So I was thinking it could be something like that, how that kind of frames the story, and then have the flashback as most of what we see. But also I would love to have the voice cast be in it somehow. But I know the voice of Karen Judy Greer, is that her name? I think.
Yeah, I think so.
She's like only 40 or something, so she's a little bit too young to be. But I want to see her in it somewhere. I don't know. I really
the thing
like
is, if they do the interview, they have to have 2 casts. They have to have like young Daisy and old Daisy.
But she's like she's in the middle. She's
exactly.
too young, and then she's also too old.
So like they're gonna have to get 2 like casts for each of them essentially. But I think, I don't know, I'm excited.
It's gonna be so hard, but do they know like what network is doing it or anything?
Is it Amazon?
It's Amazon.
Yeah,
it's on Amazon. Yeah.
So we'll all have access to. Well, maybe.
No, I won't.
Oh yeah, you come. Oh,
you can use my login. It's fine.
What about your sister? You can do that.
Yeah, perfect. I'll just move one.
Okay, so do we have anything else to add to our non-spoiler part?
I guess, I mean, did we want to talk a little bit about like our like of it in comparison to Evelyn Hugo?
Yeah, that's a very common question.
You know?
You can start.
Personally, yeah. So Evelyn Hugo, I read after everyone had read it, and there was all the hype. So I didn't care for Evelyn Hugo as much as I liked Daisy Jones. I think if Evelyn Hugo, and they're really similar stories at their core, in my opinion. I mean, the interview format and everything. I think that if Evelyn Hugo had been told more like this one was, where like there wasn't this frame tale sort of narrative going on that I didn't really care about, I think I would have enjoyed it more. But also there was so much hype that also affected my like of it. But I definitely, my preference is Daisy Jones, personally.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that I read Evelyn Hugo last summer, so it's been a while. And I know, Hannah, you just reread it, so you probably are more able to compare them. But I think they're very different stories. And I was also like not expecting to like Evelyn Hugo as much as I did. So that also like affected how much I liked it because it caught me by surprise. So I think of it very, very positively. But I think that with Daisy Jones, it's a lot about substance abuse and just addiction in general. And it's a lot about these characters spiraling into unhealthy behaviors. So a lot of it can feel pretty stagnant. And it's a lot of repetition because they're in the studio and they're making music. So it's not as much as a forward-moving plot as Evelyn Hugo is, because Evelyn Hugo kind of denies her emotions for a vast majority of the book. And she's just really striving for her goals. So there's a lot of forward momentum and you kind of, I don't know. So I think they're very different in how they're written. But in hindsight, I think I enjoy Evelyn Hugo more. But again, I do need to reread it. I feel like it's not really fair to compare it in my mind.
Well, obviously, no.
I know. But
it's just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they're very similar. I agree with Hailey at the core. They're like essentially the same type of story.
Yeah.
Which I remember when I went to Taylor Jenkins' Reid book signing, she was mentioning like she didn't want to do Daisy Jones because she was like, this is too similar to Evelyn Hugo. Like I can't write this story. But obviously she did, because they are also, I think, very, very different. So I do also think it's not fair to compare them. But what you said, Zoe, about how you didn't expect to love Evelyn Hugo and you think that might have made you love it more. I think it's the opposite for me. I expected to love Evelyn Hugo and I completely did. It was my favorite book of last year, one of my favorite books ever now. I didn't think I was going to like Daisy Jones because I was like, I don't like 70s music. Like I don't care about rock and roll. Like I don't care about any of this stuff. I'm not really going to like this. But then I ended up completely falling in love with it. So I think that definitely made me like it more. And yeah, like you said, I did just reread Evelyn Hugo right after I read Daisy Jones to see like how I feel about both of them. And I still love that book with all of my heart and soul. But for me personally, I think there's one aspect of that story of Evelyn Hugo that I just really deeply love that just means a lot to me. And the book as a whole, while I still love and enjoy it, all of the parts of it don't matter to me. There's just one part of it that really, really matters to me. And this is obviously a very like subjective thing. So I'm talking like from a very personal experience, not an objective review of the book. But Daisy Jones, there's so much in this book that like means a lot to me. So I think that's why I like it more than Evelyn Hugo, a little bit at least. But in terms of like something I would recommend for like everybody, I would literally give everyone Evelyn Hugo. I think. Yeah. I think most people could like that.
Yeah.
As Mallory Rogers said, Evelyn Hugo is more entertaining, but Daisy Jones hit me harder. That's exactly how I feel. Because I also read this because all of us here, we deal with mental health issues. And I read it when I was in a very like vulnerable place, Daisy Jones. And that's also why I highlighted so many quotes from this, because a big thing is that I was very uncomfortable when I was reading this because a lot of it hit a little bit too close to home. I mean, I don't deal with substance abuse issues, but like just a lot of mental health things in general. So like I felt like so exposed when I read this and I was very uncomfortable, but it does mean a lot to me. So it's very Evelyn Hugo, I look back more fondly, and this is just like wow, you really did that to me.
Yeah.
So,
Evelyn Hugo feels like a story that I really enjoyed. This feels like a personal attack.
like a diary.
For
Like
sure.
what?
Yeah. Which is why I like it more.
Okay, so should we get on to the spoilers?
Yes.
Okay.
I really need to cry.
Okay, take us away, Hannah.
Wait, okay, so are we getting into spoilers right now?
We
Yeah.
are.
Okay, so
People
yes,
wait a
if
second
you don't want to be
to
spoiled, I'm gonna give you a second. If you don't want to be spoiled,
go read the book. And come
please
back.
go read the book. Like go read the book so that you can cry with me because I have so many tears to shed. But yes, go read the book and then come back. You can watch the rest of this live show later. And talk about this with us because we're all dying. So peace out. But now moving on to spoilers. I don't know where to start.
Okay. I have notes right here. But what did you think about Billy? Let's just start with him because a lot of there we go. Go crazy.
Is she okay?
Okay.
Oh my god.
Here are my thoughts on Billy. So I started reading the book the first time and I was like, why is this guy so arrogant and full of himself? Why does he talk about himself this way and make himself seem like look so good all the time when everyone else is being pretty honest about how they felt about stuff? But he constantly just like makes every situation seem like it wasn't that bad or it wasn't that dramatic, or even the like terrible, intense things that he was doing. He's like, oh yeah, like I felt really guilty, but like he won't actually say what happened when like Camila's like, yeah, I caught him having sex with like this other girl. He just like kind of brushes over it a little bit and makes it look cleaner than it actually was. So I was reading it and I was like, why is he like this? This is really annoying. Then you get to the part where you find out that that the interviewer is
Julia.
Julia, thank you.
Yeah.
Is Julia. And I was like,
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
oh. And I was like, I didn't see it coming, first of all. And then I was like, this makes perfect sense. Like everything about this book is now completely different to me. Everything makes perfect sense now. Of course, when someone is telling this story to their own child, like several years later, after their mom is dead, also when you find out that Camila's dead, like that changes everything too. Yeah, because it changes everything too. So like if she was alive, it would be different because he could be telling the story differently. But the fact that she's not alive and the fact that he's telling the story to his daughter changes him completely. He's not just trying to make himself look better. He's telling the story to his kid, and you're never going to tell this story the same way to your kid as you would to your friends. And then after that, I was like, I completely understand Billy now. Like I completely understand him as a person. And now literally he's like one of my favorite characters ever. Because I love him so, so much because I think he's such a good person at his like heart. And I can't. I'm so emotional about Billy.
Well, speaking of Julia, just for a second, I thought something was up when Camila, it's at the beginning when she says like earmuffs before she curses. I knew, and I caught that the first time I went through it, and I'm like, why would you say that to like an interviewer? And then I'm like, it's her. I mean, her daughter's like a grown adult now, but she's still like, earmuffs, I'm going to curse, honey. But oh my gosh, we can just, okay, let's finish talking about Billy and then let's talk about like the format of this book.
Yeah.
What do you think about Billy?
I also enjoyed Billy, much like Hannah. My opinion of him went like on a roller coaster, basically, throughout the entire thing. But my favorite thing, like I love a character that is a tortured soul because that is a soul that I can identify with. So I love characters like that. And I love when a character like that just wants to be good and wants to do good. And I think that's why he was someone that I really wanted to root for, because like as much as he kind of was a stubborn ass at times, he just wanted to be a good person and was trying to make good decisions and cared more about other people than I think you would realize at first.
Yeah.
Like it seems on the outside like he puts himself first, but he 100% put his entire family first. And I liked the fact that that became his new addiction. Like, I thought that that was a great thing for him. And I don't know. I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
He says like that's probably not a good thing, but like it's true. Or I don't remember if he actually says that, but that's what I was.
Well, because Daisy says like basically calls him out on the fact that his new addiction is his family, and he's like, yeah, but like I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's amazing. Like he's providing for his family and he's trying to care for his family and make the right choices that are going to help them in the end. And I don't know. That just
I think
was
he's
very
really
heartwarming
complex.
to me.
Yeah, I think he's really complex in that aspect too, because obviously he cares so much about his family and everything he does is to just like put them first. But then if you look at the way that he treats Graham, he treats him terribly the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, he's never a good
like a servant.
Yeah, exactly. He's never a good brother to Graham. And like, yeah, obviously Billy's going through his own stuff, but Graham is also going through his own stuff. As much as I don't feel sympathy for Graham a lot of the time, he is still going through his own stuff and his brother doesn't care. Like he just will not pay attention to him, which is not a good thing. So Billy very much picks and chooses who he loves and how much like love he's willing to give them. He has a lot of love to give, but he won't give it to everyone who he doesn't feel like needs his time, which is not a great thing, but that's what I think makes him such a good character because he's so flawed. Like there's so much to love about him, but there's still so much to not like about him. And I have so many feelings about Billy Dunn.
Well, what I liked is that at the beginning, he's really stuck up for his brother, for Graham, when they wanted to like kick him out of the band and stuff like that. So I feel like he's always put a lot of his love into other people. Like he's really had to have someone to hold on to and to keep him grounded. At the beginning it was Graham, and then he found Camila, and then when they broke up he was like untethered. So he's definitely, I went on a roller coaster as well. Like and I really enjoyed that his moment of like trying to become better happened so early on in it, and we got to see the ramifications of like trying to stay on the wagon for so long, and whereas Daisy, it took the entire length of it. Oh goodness, well, we'll talk about this later. But okay, let's talk about the twist at the end. I knew that there had to be something more to this book than it just being an interview, and the fact that at the beginning, she says that some people were hard to track down and some people were dead. And we don't hear from Pete for like, was it Pete? For like the entire length of it. And I'm like, was he gonna, I literally thought he was going to get shot at their like last, like that was like at their last concert. I'm like, someone's gonna like straight up murder him during the concert and it's gonna be a mess. And then I'm like, well, that probably would explain, people would probably know why they broke up if he just straight up died. So I don't know why that was my what I thought, but I liked how it was a much more subtle, like, oh yeah, this is it actually. And it makes sense why people would be so willing to talk with Julia and being so able to be vulnerable. Like Daisy just putting all her business on the line. Camila just like the fact that Camila had such a big presence in the book, it's because she's the daughter of Camila. Yeah. So what did you think? Did you think there was going to be another twist or?
Well, I knew that there was no way that they were giving this interview to just like, I knew there had to be a reason they were giving this interview, because there was no way that they were just going to randomly sit down with some interviewer and be like, oh, like, here's our story, like 40 years later for absolutely no reason. So I knew there had to be a reason. I did not expect it to be Julia. And I definitely didn't expect Camila to be dead. But I was questioning the entire time. I was like, why do they talk about her like this? Like,
Yeah.
Camila's so sweet. Camila was so this. Camila is so that. And I was like, okay, but like, I mean, I love her too, but she's got some flaws. How come no one ever mentions her flaws? Everyone only ever talks about Camila in the best possible light, even Eddie. So like, something's up here. And then when you find out she's dead, I was like, that makes perfect sense. Like,
people idolized her after she was dead.
Yeah, that's what happens. When you remember somebody who's dead, you remember them more fondly than when they were alive because you're trying to like uphold their memory. And it changed everything again. And I was like, this book just needs to stop because I can't keep having my mind just like blown this many times.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. I kind of wish that not wish. It makes me wonder more about Camila's character and what we didn't get to see.
Yeah.
Because everyone looks at her with such reverence and
we
have to wonder.
That one section where Billy says for like one line that she like low-key cheated on him with that one guy from her high school. There's no explanation whatsoever about what happened with that or if they had a conversation about it. And of course not, because he just wants to remember his dead wife.
So all of it is just like, but like, just because you're dead doesn't mean you're a great person. You could still be, so it kind of makes me wonder about her character a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do we want to talk about Camila? A lot of people are saying, well, Christy B said, I didn't like Camila because she had no flaws until the end. And I very much disagree. Even Billy said that she was very stubborn and she had to get her own way. She was very controlling and she wouldn't take no for an answer. I was very struck. Like I didn't like her at first because of the fact that she wouldn't let other people live their lives and she had to control everything like she was playing The Sims or something like that. Sorry, I had to say that. But the fact is that there was that quote, the quote that you said earlier before the live show, Hannah, where she saw people's worth. She saw people's worth. She saw Billy's worth. She knew that she didn't want to leave him at his lowest. She saw the good in him and she would only accept the best for her and Billy.
I didn't want to let the weakest part of him decide what my life was going to be or something like that. Yeah.
So I admire it, the fact that she really did help people in the end, but also the fact that would they have had a happy ending without her? Like, would things have worked out?
See, I think that Camila was the most important member of the band.
Yes. She kept everyone in line.
She kept everyone in line. She kept everything together. And I mean, yes, she is controlling, but I didn't really think it was a bad thing. Like, I thought that she knew what she wanted and she knew what was best for people, even when some people didn't know what was best for them. And she got to make those decisions. And I respected her for that a lot. So I like completely understand why people would find her kind of annoying or think that like she's kind of presented as without flaws, obviously because of the way people are remembering her. But I actually really liked her and I really respected her for the way that she was.
No, it was just at first that I was like, everyone's thinking of her like they have no flaws, but she's obviously very flawed. And then as time went on and you could see how she was the glue and keeping everybody in line. And because she was the only one not taking drugs, she knew she could see everything much more clearly.
Yeah, definitely. I think the more that I think about her, like we were talking about this before the live and we'll talk about it later too, but I feel like the more I think about her, I thought I was more like Daisy, but I feel like Daisy's me at my worst, but Camila's more like who I would like to be. And I'm like, but I feel like she is so layered and I want to know so much more about her. I love what we did get to know and I just feel like she really was flawed. Like she, from the very beginning, was a flawed character. But I think that her care for other people kind of erased those flaws almost or made up for it a little bit. I really enjoyed her. She wasn't like necessarily a likable character, but I feel like she was someone that was easy to root for because she rooted for everyone else.
I think she's a definition of tough love. I think that's what it is.
Maybe
she's not doing it really. Yeah. She's not doing this out of a place of selfishness. Although sometimes she's like, I want the ideal family and I will have it. But it was also mostly about, I do love Billy and I don't want to see him go to such a dark place that he could ultimately probably die from drug overdose or something like that. So again, very layered. Like, I am very conflicted sometimes when I think about what she did. I'm like, but it's still good. Like, she did that. It was a little bit too aggressive in the way that she went after her goal. But I
love her. I love her so much.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think it's the fact that she is not just some like Mother Teresa type figure coming in and like saving everybody. It's the fact that
she wasn't just like Julia's mom or Billy's wife. Like, that's not who she was. She was Camilla Dunn.
Yeah.
Okay. So should we discuss the relationship between Billy and Daisy? Hannah.
Do you want me to cry like right now?
Okay, first of all, Billy's perspective on him and Daisy. It's very again, he is telling this story to his daughter, who obviously is not Daisy's child. So I don't know how much of it he was just lying to himself or how much he's trying to phrase it in a way to Julia. Discuss.
I think it's a huge mix of both. I think he's still lying to himself because he cared so much about Daisy, but he also loves Camilla so much that he's just still lying to himself. And that's like very, very sad, obviously. And it makes trusting his side of the story really difficult because you don't know how much of it is him actually being honest or not. Because if you look at it, I think he is a very honest person. In what he like actually cares about. And if he wasn't, I don't think he would have said anything about how he felt for Daisy. But yeah, I think that a lot of it is him. It's very Evelyn Hugo, him just denying his feelings for a very large portion of this book until he's kind of finally forced to admit that something was going on with his feelings. And yeah, I can't, like, I cannot even like think about them without tearing up because the angst makes me so unbelievably emotional.
It's a lot. I think that he almost he's trying to fool himself just as much as he's trying to fool everyone else.
Absolutely.
And I think even all these years later, he is trying to deny that. And I think a large part of it is because of who Daisy is. I think it's because she reminds him of everything that he used to be and everything that he could have become. So I think even apart from having Camilla, apart from all of that, Daisy as like an entity is someone that is terrifying to him. And I think the fact that he loves these two women with such intensity is also something that's terrifying to him. And I think honestly from the beginning, he was doomed to have a tragic love story, whatever way you put it. He was unfortunately doomed to be a tragedy. And I wonder once again about what wasn't seen. And I feel like so much of why I wonder that a lot is because of the fact that all of this is being told to Julia. So like, what really happened, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I am so happy that they didn't get together. But there was still the hint of it in the last email. It was still like, oh, this could happen. But I hope that they're just like really good friends now. Like they're making music together.
Oh, I don't think so.
What do you think?
They're more than good friends. I don't think so. I think with Camilla gone, like, no, I don't think so.
I'm just interested to see. Like, because I don't know how they both changed. They were very, like...
I like to think that Daisy found her way.
But would they still be compatible? See, there's... Yes. But we don't know. We haven't seen them interact when they're older.
I don't think
we don't need to.
Daisy says it at some point where she's like, there's no way that you can write songs like this and sing songs that are that intimate with someone and not feel something for them. And I don't think that ever goes away.
Yeah. That's like a love that transcends time.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. Like, no. It was so intense. No,
So intense.
100%.
I did not
They
ship
are together.
them, so
You didn't ship them?
no.
Oh.
I thought it was very, I loved the fact that it explored like a toxic relationship. That was my favorite thing of the whole thing. Just the fact that this whole book is just like toxic. Like it's people who are very unhealthy, just trying to live, and everything that is stopping them from living. And but I'm so conflicted with them.
What about them?
Just the fact that I just keep on talking.
I mean, when I say that, like, I ship them, I'm not saying like they deserve to end up together. Why did he end up with Camila? Blah, blah, blah. I don't think any of that at all. I think the way it ended is perfect. I think that's exactly how it should have ended. What I mean is just that, like, I love that type of like angst and torture that you feel when you're reading that type of like passion that people have for each other. That's the type of thing like I live for in stories, in anything that has a romance, despite the fact that it's toxic. Like they know that it's toxic. I think that I think it's Daisy who says it. There's like some line where she says something like, I wish someone had told me that love didn't have to be like torture or like pain or something like that, which is also kind of what she feels for Billy too. But like, I think she wasn't at a place where she understood that back then. And for her, all that she could feel was this intensity with everything that she did. And she thought that love was supposed to be like that too. So that's why her love with Billy was like that. And that's why I love reading things like that, because I just think it's just so just intense, and I like that intensity.
Yeah, I think the fact is that I can really see the love from Daisy's point of view, but again, because you don't see a lot of it from Billy, it seemed like all he saw in her was the negative parts of himself. And so that's why it didn't really feel like an equal love when I was reading it. But again, it's just the fact that I don't know how much Billy is holding back. Like, I don't know if he really saw her for her as much as her addiction, as because like I could see that he appreciated her as a songwriter, but I'm not sure how much he loved her as a person.
Oh, see, I feel like he loved her almost more than she loved him.
Yeah,
that's how I see it, because of how much he's holding back.
Yeah,
like I can't explain exactly why. I'd have to like continue reading it again, but like there's something about the fact that he's so restrained with how much he cares about her and how much he's willing to say about her. Like, if you notice, every other person who describes Daisy, every single time they talk about her, they talk about how she looks. They talk about what she's wearing. They talk about what her hair looked like, how high she looked that day or something like that. Billy mentions what she looks like maybe twice. I think at one point he says like she wasn't wearing shoes. And then at some other point he says like she was wearing this really pretty dress. And those are like the only times he ever comments on like what she looks like. Every other time he talks about her, he talks about who she is. And I think, and he doesn't do that with anyone else really. He mentions what Camila's wearing several times.
So the wrong thing.
Yeah, the wrong thing. If we trust Karen, which I do.
I do.
Because but yeah, I feel like I felt like he loved her a lot.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that what he did say left you to fill in the blanks, I guess how you would. Like, I feel like this is a book that everyone will read differently, and everyone is going to have a different opinion. Like, I feel like all books are like that, but particularly this one, because there's so much left for you to make up on your own. So you could totally read this as a love story, and you could read it as an anti-love story.
That's what I read it as. I read it more as like people devolving.
Yeah.
See, I read it as that, but also a love story.
Me too.
Where, like, in my head, together in the end, and just everyone got like a happy-ish ending, because really not a happy ending, but like a ish.
Yeah.
Well, the truth often lies somewhere in the middle, so that's why we can all interpret it so differently.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mentioned, like, in my review of the book, when I said like the same thing. Like, I think everyone who reads this is going to read it as such a different book, more so than any other book, because the format of it lends itself to that. Like, that's what I think is so brilliant about this book.
Yes.
That like everybody who reads it will have such a different experience with it, and it'll be a completely different book for every person. And that's such like a unique thing that you can bring to a story as a writer. And I just think it's so well done.
Yeah, I think the fact that it is written in interview style, and if it was just told like we just got the story of them in the 70s, we definitely wouldn't have this much room to like wiggle things around and be like, what if he actually, or like what if they did this but they just didn't tell us. So
yeah,
you can see what you want to see, definitely.
Yeah, this is like one of those cases, and I love when these things happen where form and function just meld so well, because like she consciously made the decision to tell the story this way, and I don't think it could have been told any other way. I think that if this had been written like Evelyn Hugo, I don't think I would have liked it as much. I just feel like it had to be these snippets where you were filling in the blanks. You were seeing all sides of the story so you can put it together, and your finished product of this puzzle is going to look completely different than someone else's. And I just think that is so absolutely genius. Like, it is mind-blowing. I would love to know about her process of writing this book, because like I can't even imagine taking on a task so daunting.
Oh my gosh, people are talking about the lyric change for Honeycomb.
I was gonna say,
by the way, I'm wearing my bee socks because of Honeycomb. Oh my god.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, can we please talk about that next? Because like I can't. That's
the moment I started crying. Well, one of the moments I started crying.
It was from that moment until the very end of the book that like
I was continuously crying.
Yeah.
It's just, they're on that stage and they're singing this song for literally the last time. And Daisy's like, for these next 3 minutes, I get to look at the man that I love and sing this song and like be in this moment. And then she sees Camila, and oh my God, she sees Camila and she's like, he's not mine, he's hers. And then she changes the lyrics and I lost it. Completely lost it. Oh my God.
It really was so much. Oh God.
Like, I still feel it in my heart every single time I think about that, because Billy's like response to that, when he, especially in the audiobook, the way the narrator delivers those lines, oh my God, his voice is like breaking and he sounds like he's crying.
Yes.
And
it's so much.
It destroys me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Honestly.
Yeah. I can't.
That's the one moment I want to see with my 2 eyes in the adaptation. I could completely, well, no, I don't want to ignore the rest of the adaptation, but that's one that I'm going to keep on watching again and again.
I feel like that was the moment I could see so vividly too.
Yes.
Like, it was literally like playing in my mind. And I was like, please stop. This is so much.
I feel like talking about this book adds so, like,
it really does.
Now that I'm like thinking about it, I'm just like,
it's a conversation piece.
It is, like, it's the perfect, like someone said this in the chat, but it is the perfect book club book.
Yeah.
Because it adds, when you like dissect it, it just becomes, it's the definition of like Gestalt. Like, the parts are like, the picture is more than the sum of its parts, and that is Daisy Jones in this, like, literally, because there's so many different parts to this. And
this is totally unrelated, but you just said picture, and I was just thinking, why is the book cover not the album cover?
I know.
I want to see the butts. And
missed opportunity.
Them like right on top of each other.
I need it.
Like,
whenever they come out with like the adaptation, I know they're also like actually making the album. So
they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited, but they need to do the cover justice. Like, it has to be the same album cover. If it's not, if they change it, I'm gonna be so upset, because that album cover is perfection.
And they describe it such vividly, like so vividly. So come on. Okay. Can we talk? People are asking, can we talk about Karen's relationship with Graham?
Yes.
I wrote down at first, like when I was reading it, and I'm like, oh, I really enjoy how Graham is like not really upset of being in the friend zone. Like, oh, he's just like, oh, we're friends. Like, I'm happy to take like what I can get. Like, I really appreciate her as a person. And then he gets so possessive, like, of her, and like he asked for far more than she's willing to give. And that's when I love earlier you hear that Karen's like, I'm not ready to be a mom. Like it's something that's in your heart or is not in your heart. And it was in Camila's heart, but it wasn't in mine. And just the fact that she really stood up for herself, that's when like, this is where, Karen, my goodness.
Yeah.
A real MVP. There's everybody in here is great. I love them all in a different way. But what did you think about I love reading stories about things coming together and breaking apart, and that's why I love Daisy Jones and the Six. And that's something that Taylor Jenkins Reid has done before. And with After I Do, you see the buildup of relationship and the breakdown of the relationship. And that I love that aspect of it, because you think it's going to be like some epic romance, and it's like, oh, we're finally going to have one like really healthy relationship where both people just love each other. And
yes.
Nope. So what did you think?
I mean, Graham had me rooting for him in the beginning, and then that quickly stopped.
Yeah.
It was like, how dare you? How could you do this to me? No. It was just, I just wanted so much more for Karen, and I was glad that she was able to stand up for herself and kind of be that image of that, because there's so many women out there who wouldn't have the strength to do that. So I liked the fact that she was able to do that. I wish that it could have been how it went in my head in the beginning, because it didn't.
I agree. Like, I liked Graham at the beginning, and then as their relationship started to develop more and more, and you see how much more he's expecting out of this than she's willing to give, and he becomes more and more possessive, I quickly just did not like him anymore, because he, again, didn't change very much towards the end. Like, when he's like reflecting on all of this, he still feels all those things that he was feeling, and he doesn't think that he should have thought differently, or at least he doesn't give that off. And I loved Karen. I loved her a lot. I loved getting to see her and Daisy talk about what like sexualizing women and like what is the right way of like showing off your body or not showing off your body or whatever. I loved them having that conversation. I thought that was really, really well done. And I just thought she was, I agree, like a very organic character. Yeah. And she just was very real, and she had her opinions and she stood by them, and I trusted her a lot. Like, you know, like when she said that Daisy was wearing a yellow crochet top and Billy was like, I'm not Daisy.
Camila,
a yellow crochet top for their wedding. And Billy was like, oh, she was wearing a white tank top. I was like, nah, Karen's right. Karen's telling the truth. Yeah. Billy doesn't know what he's talking about.
And like Eddie trying to take credit for naming the band. I'm like, you're a liar.
Yeah.
But I loved when Karen was talking about how there were two different ways to kind of fit in with the rock scene back then, when it's the man's world, and it's either being like very sexual and being like an object of like admiration from the boys, or either being one of the boys. And she took one route and Daisy took the other, but she's still like, she wasn't negative towards Daisy and being like, oh, she's blah, blah, blah. But she's like, yeah, there's two ways to do it. And we each took our different paths. We did what we felt comfortable doing. But I am also sad that she's like, oh, I had the best audition outfit, but I felt uncomfortable wearing it. So I just like came in like a jersey so that they wouldn't think of me as like just a woman or whatever. Did any of you think, when I was first reading it, I honestly thought that Karen and Camila were going to have like a relationship of some sort, because she's like, oh, I didn't like the house until Camila said that she liked it. And then I was like, oh yeah, it's a great house. And she was very aware of like what Daisy and Camila were wearing. So at first when I read it, I'm like, maybe that's why she doesn't want to have kids, or maybe this is going to be how it turns out. I mean, it could have. We don't know what Karen's doing now these days. It could have. But
I never read it like that. But I guess
I didn't either. I thought she just really admired Camila.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it turned out to be, but
yeah. I felt like it was one of those like girls rooting for girls thing. Not that it couldn't have been gay. It would have been nice if it was. Because I do feel like this one, there wasn't really the LGBTQ plus aspect of it. And I was kind of expecting it just because there was with Evelyn Hugo, but
we have the manager.
Oh, that's true.
No, not Harry. What's his name?
Yeah. What was your name, man?
I always forget his name.
Rod, right?
Rod.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I like some people also said that they thought that oh yeah, people like bisexual Karen, let's go. But people were saying that they thought Pete was also gay and he was just like having a trophy wife of some sort. But you know, they all could have been. Who knows? Yeah. It was the 70s.
True.
I feel like that's one of those things that was open for you to read. I do wish a little bit that it was on the page, but I do think it's one of those things where you can read it differently than someone else, you know. But I never thought about that one.
Interpretation.
Can we talk about the email at the end?
Oh God, I wanted to wait until at the end because I was gonna like cry, and so that's another one. Interpretation. Like, will he go through with it? Like, does he feel like he's at a comfortable place to really connect with someone again and possibly be open to the triggers of the past? Like, how solid is he now? It's my dog trying to burst in here.
I really want to talk about Daisy Jones.
Yeah, he's like, I love it.
I have opinions.
You owe me a song.
It's so much.
I cannot. I absolutely cannot. It breaks my heart because even through all of that, Camila still knows how much Daisy and Billy mean to each other. And it doesn't even matter to her. Like, that's how selfless she's being with how much she loves him. And my heart cannot handle it at all.
Like, I'm sure that Daisy Jones's number has changed over the past too. So I'm like, has she been keeping tabs on her all this time? I think so. Like,
I would like to think that Camila and Daisy were friends this entire time without Billy even knowing it.
I don't think they were.
I don't think so either.
Daisy was like thinking of the past. She's like, she really meant a lot to me, but like, we haven't like had her and Billy haven't had contact since then. Yeah. Which like, that was 40 years. How has this happened? But goodness. So what would your ideal ending be? Obviously, both of you want Billy and Daisy to end up together, which like I wouldn't be against.
I don't want that. I don't want them to end up together. Like, you mean change the ending of this?
No, like after the email.
Like after everything. After the email and everything.
Okay. I would like to think that Daisy and Billy get together again and meet up and start writing music again. Yes. And who knows, maybe something happens again. I like to think that spark is always going to be there. It never left, and I don't think it ever will. But I don't know. I don't want to know. I like not knowing.
Yeah, I do too. I like the fact that it's open to interpretation, and I generally don't really like open-ended books, but like I just feel like there was no other way to end it. It had to be inconclusive because everything else was so open. So you couldn't have this like one ending to it. There had to be different ways you could go with it. I love the idea of Daisy and Camila like keeping up with each other.
Yeah.
And kind of keeping tabs on each other. I like that a lot. I like to think that they became friends. And honestly, maybe it's just the hopeless romantic in me, but I like to think that they got the love story. Like, I want Daisy to get the love story that she deserved because Camila also got the love story that she deserved. And I think that, like, it could happen, you know? Because, like, it's the after. So, you know, like, I feel like Camila did so much for him. And I think honestly, I feel like she wanted to see them together when she was gone. Obviously, like, after that email, she wanted to almost not give him permission, but like obviously that's a conversation that has to be had between a couple, is like you know, the after and stuff like that. So I loved the fact that happened, and I like to think that they ended up being together.
Okay, here from Mackenzie Brown, Daisy did get her love story. She had to learn how to love herself.
Yeah, that's very true. Very, very true.
You got it. You did it. That's the whole moral of the story right there. I think that's, there's nothing more to say about that. Yes.
Yeah. She says in the end too that she has like 2 kids, right? Or she has a kid, a son.
Adopted them.
Yeah. So like she got the kids that she wanted because like which song was it that she wrote that everyone thought was like about love or something like that, but Camila thought it was about like Billy, and she was like, you just so you know that song is about wanting kids and not being able to have them or something like that. And it breaks my heart. And then when you find out that she adopted kids, I was like, oh my God, Daisy, you're living your life and I'm so happy.
That was the story arc I was rooting for. I feel like it was, oh no, it's not that one.
A Hope Like You, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love this so much. And baby, when you think of me, I hope it ruins rock and roll.
Stop.
I love it. Oh my God. Sorry, I'm getting way too emotional.
She's so shook. Oh God.
I'm gonna be more gentle from now on. Yes, and Camila tells Daisy it's her favorite song. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh.
This song is so good.
Someone asked earlier on Twitter, which of the ladies do we relate to most? And we kind of covered this earlier because Hailey's like, oh, Camila,
Sorry.
but also Daisy.
I was thinking about
Yeah.
I do still relate to Daisy though, because I mean, part of me is a tortured soul. I feel like that's honestly the destructive part of me, like self-destructive, not obviously into like drugs or anything like that, but I think I see parts of me in every single character, but the most with Camila and Daisy.
For me, it's the most with I think it's the most with Camila. There are definitely, I see just certain parts of Daisy that I relate to. The one part of Camila that I really relate to is that one story that Karen tells about with the time that she made breakfast, where she wanted breakfast and everybody else wanted to go out and get burgers, and she manipulated everyone into getting breakfast. That's literally me. Like, that's really bad, but that's who I am as a person. So when they described that, I was like, wow, called out. So that and Camila I really relate to, but honestly, the character I relate to most is Billy. Like 100% I relate to Billy. So
I see myself a lot in Daisy, and that's part of the reason why I was so uncomfortable when reading this. Obviously, again, not into drugs, but a lot of self-destructive behavior. And personally, I think going back to the Enneagram test, which is kind of like Myers-Briggs, but I think her and I have the same Enneagram type, which is a type 4. The individualist is all about like, again, being self-destructive, but also like being like creative and all of that. So that's part of why I had to read this kind of in little bursts, because I'm like, oh no, this is too much, the things that she is saying. But I wish that I was more of like a Camila, getting stuff done and living my life, but nah, I'm just spiraling like Daisy.
Earlier someone said, Hannah, can you talk about the Civil Wars? So can I talk about the Civil Wars for a second? Okay, I've been annoying them so much with how much I talk about the Civil Wars. So I'm sorry, you guys have to listen to me again. But okay, the Civil Wars. If you didn't know, Taylor Jenkins Reid was inspired to write this book for 2 main reasons. One, because she loves like the 70s era rock and roll and like Fleetwood Mac, Lindsey Buckingham, like that whole thing was a big inspiration for her. But the other inspiration for her was a band called the Civil Wars, who, if you don't know, broke up in like 2015, 2014 or something like that. And she wanted to know why they broke up, because they've never explained why they broke up. And they were a very like intimate, like indie kind of duo. And they're one of my favorite bands ever. I used to listen to them in middle school and high school all the time. And so after I read this book, I was like, obviously I need the music. Like, I need to listen to Aurora right now, but it doesn't exist. So I decided to listen to the Civil Wars because I remembered her mentioning that and I loved them. So I listened to it, and I have not been able to stop listening to it. Like, all I'll do now is listen to the Civil Wars. And I highly recommend anybody who feels like they need to listen to Aurora, go listen to the Civil Wars. It's not 70s rock, but it's the same type of like intimate, like Billy Daisy vocals that the lyrics, like the song Dust to Dust, it's not Honeycomb. It's not like even similar to the lyrics Honeycomb. But if you change the line in that song that says, "You've been lonely," to "Will you hold me?" it literally becomes Honeycomb. And I lose my mind every single time because it's so good. But that's my Civil Wars spiel. So go listen to them. They're so good. And if you want Billy and Daisy vocals, then that's all you need. There you go.
I concur with her as well. I've been also listening to them a lot, especially when you're like, listen to this one, it's this one. Listen to this one, it's this one.
I've like paired all the songs with the songs in Aurora. Yeah.
Also, Fleetwood Mac. I've been listening to both of them, both the Fleetwood Mac and the Civil Wars a lot. But I definitely, when I finished this book, since obviously it's about music and you can't really read music. You can read the lyrics, but you can't really read music. And so that's why I was like, there's something lacking from this. Like, I need to like hear it. And then there you go. Listen to that. Woo. Also, I think Penguin Random House made a playlist on Spotify for this. And I've listened to it. It also has 70s rock music, and it has more current, like it has Harry Styles on there, I think.
The Civil Wars are on there.
Yes, yeah. And it fits so perfectly. So very, very much enjoy. But also at the end of the audiobook, there's like instrumentals for the music. But that's it. Okay, do we have any? Oh, should we share our favorite quotes from the book? I have a bunch, but I have one ultimate one, which I've written down in my bullet journal because it makes me cry every time I think about it because it hit me so hard. But it's from Camilla to Daisy, I believe, and it's "You're all sorts of things you don't even know yet," which sounds like it's like a pretty like simple phrase, but when I read it, it just like hit me so like I was staggered.
Yeah, that is a great quote.
Yeah, because it just shows you like there's always time to reinvent yourself, always time to like move on. You're not stuck where you are now, and that's something that both Daisy and I really needed to hear, especially when you're spiraling. Like you feel like you're just going to get sucked more into the spiral, and there's no way out. And that shows like you're not just like your addiction, you're not just like your mental illness, you're not just one thing, but you can always find new aspects of yourself. So what is your favorite?
It's almost like a variation of the light at the end of the tunnel, to be honest. Like there's a way out of everything, even though it might seem like you're everything, that it's not. My favorite is one that I've seen a lot of people include in their reviews, but I really love it. But it is, "I had absolutely no interest in being somebody else's muse. I'm not a muse. I am the somebody." I would say the swear word, but this isn't my channel. End of effing story. So I'll keep it clean for you, Zoe.
Thank you.
I just love that one because it's just her like taking control. And I feel like it's an important reminder really to not discount yourself and not let someone else use you. Take control of your life and the things that you want to do and do it. Like do it for you and create things. I feel like as any creative person, that's a quote that would really speak to them. I know it spoke to me for those reasons.
I don't have a favorite because I haven't finished going through the book and like annotating all of it. Cause like I have my book and it has like, we're going to go to a different page. That one has a swear word on it. I wrote. So like, I'm going through it and highlighting it, but, so I don't know what my favorite one is yet, but one of my favorite ones that I have marked already, where did it go? Is this one by Billy. He says, "You have these lines you won't cross, but then you cross them. And suddenly you possess the very dangerous information that you can break the rule and the world won't instantly come to an end. You've taken a big black bold line that you've made it a little bit gray. And now every time you cross it again, it just gets grayer and grayer until one day you look around and you think, there was a line here once, I think." Like that, what he's talking about, like his addiction. I just think that one is so, so good. Yeah, he has a lot of lines I really love.
He has a lot of depressing lines. Daisy has a lot of like, she's so like inspirational because she's been to a lot of therapy. Camila just has the zingers and Warren's just there for comic relief. But there's one line I think applies so much to how we are talking now about interpreting the story, but it's from Rod, and it says, "If you went to a Daisy Jones and the Six show thinking they hated each other, you could find some damning evidence for that. And if you went thinking something was up with them, that the hatred maybe masked something else, you could find evidence for that too." And that's totally about how we interpreted this. Like we're like, oh well, they loved each other. I mean, we obviously know a little bit more because we're reading their thoughts, but I think that totally works. And I also love this one from Camila. "Life is about life is about who is holding your hand, and I think whose hand you commit to holding. I love it so much. Do we have anything else we want to talk about? I feel like we just talk forever, but do we have?
I think we can pretty much wrap up now if there's any like last stuff we want to go through.
Oh yeah. Daisy is fire and Camilla is water to him. I love that too. Okay,
Yeah.
Sorry, I need. All right. Yes, Simone was the best friend of all time.
Yes, absolutely.
Her light blinking, and then
she was great.
Teddy's death. Yes.
Yeah, there are a lot more things that we can cover. There's not enough time to cover all of them in an hour.
Yeah. The one last quote that I love is that the fact that confidence is about being okay with being bad rather than being okay with being good. Like having the confidence being good. Yeah. I love that one too. Okay. All right. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, I mean, there's so much to this book that like I could literally talk about it for hours endlessly. But I think we covered like a good majority of the stuff that we want to talk about. But yeah,
I think so.
This was really fun.
I loved it so much. I'm
glad we read this as our first book.
It's the best book club book of all time. There you go. I said it. Well, speaking of that, we should talk about next month's book of the month. We are reading Scythe by Neal Shusterman. I have it right there on my shelf. Yay! Yeah, oh, you had it handy. Yay!
Yeah.
So we will have our live show at the end of April. Whose channel is it on?
Mine?
Hailey?
I don't know anymore.
Hailey's? It's on Hailey's.
Okay, Hailey's.
It's on Hailey's, yes. So if you want to read Scythe with us, we picked that because we know it's something that a lot of people will have access to since it's been out for a couple of years. And we want people to be able to get it from the library. And we just want not all of our books to be new releases, although we had to do this one. We just had to. We were looking forward to it so much. So there you go. And thanks to everybody who read Daisy Jones and the Six with us in March. It was so much fun. Also, we do have a Goodreads book club group. So if you would like to join that, we have a lot of discussion about the books on there. And also a lot of people were fan casting who they want to be Daisy and Billy and all the characters in the adaptation. So I think it's a lot of fun. So is there anything else you want to say?
I don't think so.
I think we're good.
Yeah. So our next Bookmarked, just regular live show will also be on my channel this upcoming Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This will also be here if you want to come back and watch this later, or if you have more thoughts, let us know in the chat, in the not the chat, in just like the type
comments.
The comments. That's the part. Yeah. Okay. I had my 24-hour readathon yesterday, so I'm a little bit scattered today, but thank you so much for joining us for this book club discussion, and we will talk to you all later in our next live show. Bye!
Bye!
Bye!